The rain drummed steadily against the old, creaky windows of the Victorian house, casting a melancholic rhythm over the evening. Sarah curled up on the worn-out couch, a blanket wrapped tightly around her. Alone for the weekend, she relished the rare solitude. The fire crackled warmly in the hearth, casting flickering shadows across the room. Her parents had gone for a much-needed getaway, and Sarah, at 17, assured them she'd be fine. A sudden crack of thunder jolted her, and the lights flickered ominously. The storm was worsening. She glanced at her phone. No signal. Typical. She pulled the blanket tighter, trying to focus on her book. The ancient house, with its towering ceilings and dark corners, had always unnerved her a bit, but tonight, it felt different, more menacing. A faint tapping echoed from upstairs. Sarah froze, listening intently. The house was old, full of noises. She reasoned, probably just the wind. She forced herself to return to her book, but the tapping grew louder, more insistent. It was rhythmic, deliberate, not the random creaks of an aging house. Her heart pounded as she strained to hear over the storm's din. Deciding to investigate, she grabbed a flashlight and hesitated at the bottom of the grand staircase. The beam of light wavered as her hands trembled. Slowly, she ascended, each step creaking under her weight. The tapping continued, drawing her towards the far end of the hallway, to the room that had always remained locked. The door, painted a dull, peeling white, seemed to loom larger as she approached. She fumbled for the key her parents had always kept hidden in the study. Finding it, she unlocked the door, the ancient hinges groaning in protest. The room beyond was dark, filled with old, dust-covered furniture and boxes. The air was musty, tinged with a scent she couldn't quite place, something metallic, like blood. She swung the flashlight around, the beam catching on a small, old-fashioned writing desk in the corner. The tapping had stopped. She approached the desk cautiously, her curiosity mingling with dread. On the desk lay an old, leather-bound journal. Its cover was cracked and worn, the pages yellowed with age. She opened it, the smell of decay wafting up from its pages. The journal belonged to a girl named Emily, who had lived in the house over a century ago. As Sarah read, a chilling tale unfolded. Emily had been confined to this room, hidden away by her family because of her strange abilities. She could communicate with the dead, and the spirits had driven her mad. The last entry was a desperate scrawl. "They won't leave me alone. They want me to join them. I can't escape." The tapping, it never stops. A loud crash from downstairs jolted Sarah from her reading. She rushed back down, heart racing. The living room window had blown open, the wind and rain whipping through. She hurried to close it, but a sudden gust extinguished the fire, plunging the room into darkness. Her flashlight flickered and died. Panic surged through her veins as she fumbled for her phone. Still no signal. The tapping resumed, louder this time, as if coming from the walls themselves. It surrounded her, relentless and maddening. She could feel eyes on her, watching, waiting. She stumbled back, her breath coming in short, terrified gasps. The house seemed alive, its very walls closing in. In the dim light, she saw movement, a shadow slipping past the doorway. She wasn't alone. The realization hit her like a cold wave. She turned, and there, in the flickering gloom, stood a figure, a young girl, her eyes hollow, her face twisted in anguish. "Emily." The ghostly figure raised a hand, pointing towards the journal still clutched in Sarah's grip. "Help me," the specter whispered, her voice a haunting echo that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. "Free me." Sarah's mind raced. How could she help? What did the spirit want? The tapping grew more frantic, a cacophony of desperate pleas. She remembered the final words in the journal. Emily had been tormented by the spirits she couldn't escape. Sarah realized that Emily was trapped, her spirit unable to rest. Gathering her courage, Sarah made her way back upstairs, the ghostly figure following silently. She returned to the locked room, feeling the oppressive weight of unseen eyes. Emily's ghost pointed to the desk drawer. Sarah opened it, finding a small, ornate box. Inside was a locket, tarnished and old. She sensed its significance. "Burn it," Emily whispered, her voice trembling with hope and fear. Sarah hurried downstairs, rekindling the fire with shaking hands. She threw the locket into the flames, watching as it twisted and melted. The tapping reached a fever pitch, then abruptly ceased. The oppressive weight lifted, the air clearing. Emily's ghost stood before her, a sad smile on her face. "Thank you," she murmured, her form fading, the anguish lifting from her features. She disappeared, leaving Sarah alone in the now silent house. The storm began to abate, the rain easing to a gentle patter. Sarah slumped onto the couch, exhausted but relieved. The old house seemed to breathe a sigh of relief with her. She glanced at the journal, now resting peacefully on the desk. The spirits were gone, and Emily was free. The night stretched on, peaceful and quiet, as Sarah drifted into a dreamless sleep. The rain now a soothing lullaby. She knew she had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, but the memory of that night would linger, a haunting reminder of the unseen world that lurked just beyond the veil of the ordinary.